Thank Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the invocation by Father Matt Malone.
Let us pray. We meet not in a moment of mourning, but in an hour for hope. For this memorial is not only our remembrance of things past, but the touchstone of our present and a rite of dedication to our future. We gather here in this sacred place where the memory of all our fallen heroes propels our hearts toward the highest aspirations of the nation, to proclaim to our fellow citizens and to the world, Bobby Kennedy still lives in millions of hearts that seek a newer world, in millions of minds that dream things that never were and ask why not, in every ripple of hope. Yet we make this proclamation not only through mere human words or earthly gestures, but in this spirit of prayer, that privileged place in every soul where the grace of God transforms our wounded hearts into hearts of wounded healers, where sorrow is charged with meaning, where human weakness is redeemed and hope reborn. And so we pray that the God Bobby Kennedy served so well will send his Spirit upon this morning to guide our feet in the ways of peace, that his grace will open our eyes to new vistas of human daring, open our hearts to the most vulnerable among us, open our hands to embrace the cause of justice. For above all, Bobby Kennedy still lives, because the one in whose name we make this prayer, the one who was the source and summit of his life, the one who was crucified and yet rose triumphant, he still lives. Thus faith, hope, and love will never die. Amen.
On behalf of my mother, Ethel Kennedy, and our very large family, I want to thank the staff at Arlington Cemetery for being so kind and accommodating and flexible. I want to thank President Clinton, who graces us with his presence. Thank you so very much. My family and I also thank those who devoted their time and talent to making this service possible, and to each of you for sharing in this commemoration. It is tough to lose a parent. It was very painful to lose my father. And yet a half a century later, each of you have come here, many traveling from as far away as Italy, Ireland, and Australia. You share our deep sense of loss and our happy memories. Your presence is deeply moving and a tribute to the love that my father inspired. Thank you for remembering. There is much to recall. His room was next to mine. Every morning, he listened to Shakespeare while doing push-ups. I woke to grunts and Shakespeare. In fact, he was so good at Shakespeare that he challenged Richard Burton to a Shakespeare reciting contest. And of course, my father won. One of his favorite plays was Henry V. This is the story of a king who enjoyed a dissolute youth, but once crowned, led the English against a much larger force at the Battle of Agincourt on St. Crispian's Day. The night before the battle, the English are ragged, disheartened, and thinking themselves doomed to defeat. King Harry encourages the troops. He says, "And Crispian, Crispian, shall ne'er go by, from this day to the ending of the world, but we in it shall be remembered. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. For he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother. Be ne'er so vile, this day shall gentle his condition. And gentlemen in England now abed shall think themselves accursed they were not here, and hold their manhoods cheap, while any speaks that fought with us upon St. Crispian's Day." After President Kennedy died, our father often recited the St. Crispian's Day speech among his friends and with us children as we walked the grounds of Hickory Hill or in the woods nearby. As he recited this, he was thinking of the 1,000 days of the Kennedy administration, what had been accomplished, and the people with whom he had served. Today, as we come together, we are carrying on that legacy: devotion to justice, dedication to freedom, love for our fellow women and men. Though these are worthy goals, they are not easily achieved. There is always a fight, not just on St. Crispian's Day, but each hour, each day. The odds are often long. What the play inspires is that each one of us can do what our father so admired about Harry. Harry thawed cold fear. He provided hope, encouragement, a belief that what we do is urgent and noble. Harry sees his soldiers not as troops to command, but as brothers, friends, and countrymen. I would add sisters. The point remains: difficulties do not stymie us. We are happy knowing that as we seek a newer world, we are bound to one another. We can make our own pledge to be a touch of Harry in the night. With courage, we can gentle our condition as we pursue a feeling of justice and compassion for those who suffer in our country and around the world. Thank you for lightening our burden and lifting our hearts.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dolores Huerta, President and founder of the Dolores Huerta Foundation.
We must recognize the full human equality of all of our people before God, before the law, and in the councils of government. We must do this not because it is economically advantageous, although it is, not because the laws of God command it, although they do, not because people in other lands wish it so. We must do it for the simple and fundamental reason that it is the right thing to do. University of Cape Town, June the 6th, 1966.
Please welcome Grace Martinez Rosa.
All of us, from the wealthiest to the young children that I have seen in this country, bloated by starvation, we all share one precious possession, and that is the name American. It is not easy to know what that means, but in part, to be an American means to have been an outcast and a stranger, to have come to the exile's country, and to know that he who denies the exile and the outcast and the stranger still among us also denies America.
Please welcome the former Prime Minister of Italy, the Honorable Matteo Renzi.
Too much and for too long, we seem to have surrendered personal excellence and community values in the mere accumulation of material things. That gross national product counts air pollution and cigarette advertising, and ambulances to clear our highways of carnage. It counts special locks for our doors and the jails for the people who break them. It counts the destruction of the redwood and the loss of our natural wonder in the chaotic sprawl. It counts napalm and counts nuclear warheads and armored cars for the police to fight the riots in our cities. It counts Whitman's rifle and Speck's knife and the television programs which glorify violence in order to sell toys to our children. Yet, the gross national product does not allow for the health of our children, the quality of their education, or the joy of their play. It does not include the beauty of our poetry, of the strength of our marriages, the intelligence of our public debate, or the integrity of our public officials. It measures neither our wit nor our courage, neither our wisdom nor our learning, neither our compassion nor our devotion to our country. It measures everything, in short, except that which makes life worthwhile. And it can tell us everything about America, except why we are proud that we are Americans. If this is true here at home, so it's true elsewhere in the world. University of Kansas, March 18, 1968.
Our next speaker, Peter Edelman, served as an aide to Robert F. Kennedy from 1964 to 1968 and is currently a professor of law at the Georgetown Law Center.
We must, if we seek not merely to lead, but to lead greatly, act consistently with our belief in human freedom and equality. Those are the seminal values of our entire history. There should be no doubt that we stand in Africa or Asia or Latin America and in the United States itself on the side of equality and increasing freedom, never yielding that position to the demands of temporary expediency or short-run realism. For if we allow immediate considerations, one by one, to chip away proclaimed ideals and values, then we soon stand for nothing at all except ourselves. Columbus Day Dinner, New York City, October 11th, 1966.
Please welcome the Republic of Ireland's Ambassador to the United States, His Excellency Daniel Mulhall.
The whole human experiment will fail unless it can find unity and mediate its disputes, unless it can follow the paths of economic growth and cooperation, unless, above all, it can realize the equality and brotherhood of man. These are not cliches for anybody. They are the bare essentials of survival for us all. And on this small, vulnerable, infinitely interdependent planet, all of us are seeking solutions. Under the spur of potential plenty, as under the shadow of potential destruction, we are one. Our triumphs and defeats are common. The bell tolls for us all. Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, 1966.
Please welcome the Executive Director of the Color of Change, Rashad Robinson.
Your generation, South and North, white and black, is the first with the chance to not only remedy the mistakes which all of us have made in the past, but to transcend them. Your generation, this generation, cannot afford to waste its substance and its hope in the struggles of the past, for beyond these walls is a world to be helped and improved and made safe for the welfare of mankind. 1966, University of Mississippi.
Our next speaker served as the Secretary of the Navy from 2009 to 2017. Please welcome former Secretary of the Navy, Ray Mabus.
America was a great force in the world with immense prestige long before we became a great military power. That power has come to us, and we cannot renounce it. But neither can we afford to forget that the real constructive force in the world comes not from bombs, but from imaginative ideas, warm sympathies, and a generous spirit. These are qualities that cannot be manufactured by a public relations specialist. They are the natural qualities of a people pursuing decency and human dignity in its own undertakings, without arrogance or hostility or delusions of superiority toward others. A people whose ideals for others are firmly rooted in the realities of the society we have built for ourselves. University of Indiana, Bloomington, Indiana, April 24th, 1968.
Please welcome the internationally acclaimed Irish tenor, Mark Forrest.
Raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, make you to shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of his hand. And you who dwell in the shelter of the Lord, who abide in his shadow for life, say to the Lord, my refuge, my rock in whom I trust. Yes, he will raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, make you to shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of his hand. The snare of the fowler will never capture you, and famine will bring you no fear. Under his wing your refuge, his faithfulness your shield. Yes, he will raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, make you to shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of his hand. You need not fear the terrors of the night, nor the arrow that flies by day. Though thousands fall about you, near you it shall not come. And he will raise you up on eagle's wings, and bear you on the breath of dawn, make you to shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of his hand. And for to his angels he's given a command to guard you in all of your ways. Upon their hands he will bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. Yes, he will raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, make you to shine like the sun. He will hold you in the palm of his hand.
From the Robert F. Kennedy Children's Action Corps, please welcome Bianca Fonseca.
Idealism, high aspirations, and deep convictions are not compatible with the most practical and efficient of programs, that there is no basic inconsistency between ideals and realistic possibilities, no separation between the deepest desires of heart and of mind and of the rational application of human effort to human problems. It is not realistic or hard-headed to solve problems and take action, unguided by the ultimate moral aims and values. In my judgment, it is thoughtless folly, for it ignores the realities of human faith and of passion and of belief, forces ultimately more powerful than all the calculations of our economics or of our generals.
Please welcome the Honorable Nancy Pelosi.
I come to ask you to help in the task of national reconciliation, to place your energies and your time and your strength in the first work of America, the building of a nation united not on every issue, but in the enduring faith that we are to be free, that we are to have the chance for a decent life, that the natural condition of humanity is not degradation, but dignity. This is the faith that binds us together as Americans. It is this faith that shaped this nation. It is this faith that shall preserve us. From it, we will find the best within ourselves and the best within our fellow citizens. And we shall win, at the end of our labors, a new America. Tuscaloosa, March 21st, 1968.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome civil rights icon, Congressman John Lewis.
And even in our sleep, pain that cannot forget falls drop by drop upon the heart until, in our own despair, against our will comes wisdom through the awful grace of God. What we need in the United States is not division. What we need in the United States is not hatred, but love and wisdom and compassion toward one another, and a feeling of justice toward those who still suffer within our country, whether they be white or whether they be black. Let us dedicate ourselves to what the Greeks wrote so many years ago, to tame the savanness of man and make gentle the life of this world. In Indianapolis, 1968, during the announcement of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.,
From the American Federation of Teachers, please welcome Randy Weingarten.
Our choice is not whether change will come, but whether we can guide that change in the service of our ideals and toward a social order shaped to the needs of all our people. In the long run, we can master change not through force of fear, but only through the free work of an understanding mind, through an openness to new knowledge and fresh outlooks, which can only strengthen the most fragile and most powerful of human gifts, the gift of reason. University of Witwatersrand, Johannesburg, South Africa, June 8th, 1966.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our next speaker, Emma Gonzalez, representing the student movement March for Our Lives, 2018 recipients of the RFK Human Rights Award.
First is the danger of futility, the belief there is nothing one man or one woman can do against the enormous array of this world's ills, against misery and ignorance, injustice and violence. Yet many of the world's great movements of thought and action have flowed from the work of a single man. A young monk began the Protestant Reformation, a young general extended an empire from Macedonia to the borders of the earth, and a young woman reclaimed the territory of France. It was a young Italian explorer who discovered the New World, and a 32-year-old Thomas Jefferson who proclaimed that all men are created equal. "Give me a place to stand," said Archimedes, "and I will move the world." These men moved the world, and so can we all. University of Cape Town, South Africa, June 6, 1966.
Please welcome Congressman Fred Upton.
UC Berkeley, October 22nd, 1966. The future does not belong to those that are content with today, apathetic toward common problems and their fellow man alike, timid and fearful in the face of new ideas and bold projects. Rather, it will belong to those who can blend passion, reason, and courage in a personal commitment to the ideology and great enterprises of American society. It will belong to those who see that wisdom can only emerge from the clash of contending views, the passionate expression of deep and hostile beliefs. Plato said, "A life without criticism is not worth living." This is the seminal spirit of American democracy. It is the spirit which can be found among many of you. It is this which is the hope of our nation.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome country music legend Kenny Chesney.
Thank you. This song was written by Woody Guthrie. And it's a promise of everything that is good that our country has to offer all of us. And in the last year, I've gotten to know Ethel, and I've gotten to know several of Bobby and Ethel's children and their children's children. I've gotten to know their spirit, their personality, and in their heart. And that being said, I believe in my heart of hearts that Bobby Kennedy carried the promise of this song in his heart till the day he died. Well, I was riding that ribbon highway. I saw a bird in the skyway. I saw below me a golden valley. This land's made for you and me. I've roamed and rambled, followed my footsteps to the sparkling sands of the diamond desert. And all around me a voice was sounding. This land's made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is mine. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water, this land's made for you and me. I was strolling in the wheat fields waiting, the dust clouds rolling, and all around me a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water, this land's made for you and me. This land's made for you and me. This land's made for you and me.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Congressman Joe Kennedy III.
Empathy for those struggling and striving. Indignation that the wealthiest country on earth would leave children hungry, sick, abandoned, and alone. Compassion for the least among us. Faith that our nation, that our world are capable of better. Countless words have been used to remember my grandfather. Poetry has been written about the work he did and the life he lived. But for a man who loved language, it's the images that tell his story best. The caress of a child's face in a shotgun house in the Mississippi Delta. His hand on the shoulder of a coal miner in eastern Kentucky. A small piece of bread shared with Cesar Chavez in the dusty fields of Delano. Images of a father, a son, a brother, a husband, an uncle. Of a family home adorned to this day with photos of loved ones, graduations, weddings, silly moments, grandkids, great-grandkids, his brood ever growing, his love ever enduring. Of his extraordinary wife and partner, who 50 years after his passing still wears her wedding ring. Of a family who strives every day to make him proud. Those images accumulate here today. Of Dolores Huerta, his kindred Chicana spirit. Of John Lewis, a brother and mentor. Of Emma Gonzalez and our army of young activists, such fearless stewards of a future my grandfather imagined and summoned us to. For Robert F. Kennedy, this was the measure of a life well lived. People, a human connection, the touch, the look, the moment between strangers, friends, where we leave aside expectation and ego and acknowledge each other's worth and wisdom, where we pause and see each other. When we look past color or creed or class and recognize a humanity we all share, our imperfections, our contradictions, our hope for something, for a truer, kinder tomorrow. That humanity anchored my grandfather. It carried him from the fields of farm workers to the hollows of Appalachia, from the sprawling reservations of Indian country to the tenements of Bed-Stuy, where in the shadows, in the background, in the quiet spaces that rarely sought or got attention, Robert Kennedy found the arteries of our American heart. And he said to those forgotten, your country sees you. Your country values you. That America would not be America without you. He held their hands. He knelt by their side. He shared their sorrows. And he lifted their spirits. He wasn't radical or revolutionary. He was human and willing to be vulnerable. It was his greatest gift to give. He felt so intensely the suffering of others, and from that pain arose the moral force to relieve it. He saw their dreams and dared to ask, why not? Today, we also remember a father who delighted in the laughter of his children, long walks with his dogs, football with his family, the smile of his wife. We celebrate a leader who saw potential in every child and fought for a government that did the same. We recommit ourselves to his higher calling, the very thing at stake today of a country who accepts you for who you are. "25 years ago, in this very place, a family friend stood and recalled the journey of my grandfather. Then, just 6 months into his term, President Bill Clinton eloquently recalled a man who, quote, went places most leaders never visit, listened to people most leaders never hear, and spoke a simple truth most leaders never speak. Most of all, President Clinton implored us to remember, quote, the powerful, beautiful, the simple faith of Robert Kennedy. We can do better. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce him once more here today. Please join me in welcoming President William Jefferson Clinton.